Welcome to the Right on Crime podcast. I'm Marilyn Davidson. We're here in Oklahoma speaking to the Oklahoma Secretary of Public Safety, Tricia Everest. I'm so excited you had time for us because I know you're really busy.
Well, but this is what we're busy doing. It's
Yes.
when we get to work together that we get to make the solution-based changes.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yes. And you oversee all of our public safety agencies in Oklahoma. We'll mainly probably today talk about DOC, but that also includes Highway Patrol, ABLE, OSBN, all.
I would think, I put it as, I'm the general manager over everything that's investigative, everything that's enforceable, including the permitting, fire marshals, marijuana, drugs, and corrections.
Yes, so everything that keeps us safe.
Everything that keeps you
Yes.
safe.
And you have a background in law. You were Assistant Attorney General.
I represented a number of the state agencies that I now get to be the chief cheerleader.
What made you want to go into law and to do these sort of things?
People have not asked me that question because I don't really claim being a lawyer because I'm not a lawyer in this role.
Yeah.
I will tell you though, I've never thought more like a lawyer.
Yeah.
So thinking strategically of how we make great change and find the solution-based people like you and right on crime, that's coming from the law degree. I recognized early on in my 20s that we could make greater change and there'd be more rooms and doors available to me if I was a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then in addition, having the privilege of representing the state years ago as an assistant attorney general hasn't hurt much.
Yeah. And I often tell people, like, we're so blessed to have you in the role. Like, you could go on and work a job anywhere else and make probably a whole lot of money, a lot more than you're going to get paid as a state employee. What kind of motivates you? I asked this on another podcast. What motivates you to get out of bed in the morning, and what keeps you up at night when it comes to your job?
Well, let's look about Department of Corrections. I'm not guaranteed another day tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm always shocked when I wake up. I'm like, oh my God, I really do have another day.
Yeah.
What can I do
Yeah.
better? And the more that, the more that I'm not stuck in my head and I come from here, the better my life is. I'm on a podcast, Right on Crime, with you. So I know I'm doing something right. So the more I don't think about me, it's better. If I think about me, then I'm going to end up like those people in the prison systems that you used to work in that are so stuck up here that they don't even know they have opportunity.
Yeah.
And so those two things I'm acutely aware of, and those are my motivators. In college in Nashville, when I was living in Nashville, I wrote my senior thesis on if I were a victim of domestic violence, is it worth going into the system as a victim? And I, at that time, no, because the system was horrible for the victim. 10 years later, I was part of building a prison diversion program for women, for mothers. And I had spent a whole time in juvenile. Now this is probably when we do need to do a few reclips. In law school, I did a year-long program specializing in prevention of child abuse and neglect. And I spent a year at the Oklahoma County Juvenile Center working with the public defenders. 10 years later, having the privilege of helping to start a prison diversion program, because as people know, Oklahoma at that time was #1 in the nation or in the world for incarcerating women for decades. So we were diverting mothers. And I recognized, Marilyn, those mothers were the same deprived children that I had seen when I was working earlier. And then...
when I was at DOC, we had literally a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter, all three incarcerated at the same time.
See, that's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
Now in DOC, I want to find the people like you that are solution-based, that we can be intentional, that we change lives. We don't want generations to come back, and we don't want to know that. And with Right on Crime and all that you all do, and all of our partners in the state, and certainly Governor Stitt really encouraging these changes, we're making significant difference by recognizing, it's almost like there's so many eyes. Like you all have honored Representative Hill before, and he has his, how we make a workforce. The more eyes on it, all of a sudden, people become humans, and we want them to have opportunity. And I'm watching a huge cultural shift, which makes everybody safer.
Yeah, and you said more eyes on it. I found when I was at DOC, people don't just wake up one morning and think, I'm going to I'm going to advocate for criminal justice reform. Like, it's not usually how it happens.
No.
When I went in to work for DOC, I honestly only took the job because I was trying to get out of a job I really was not happy in. And someone asked me to take it. I agreed to, just as kind of a layover until I found a better job. Ended up loving it, but I went in with the misconceptions about our population that's within our prison and thinking that everyone who's in there deserves to be there because they're a horrible person. And it took me laying eyes on the first prison I ever toured was Mabel Bassett, or female prison, putting eyes on those women and hearing their stories straight from them, that I was like, oh my gosh, I have been wrong this entire time. So talk about some of the misconceptions that the community in general has about our DOC and some of the changes that you've made to kind of fix the culture and to make it more focused on rehabilitating.
Well, going back upstream again, so I'm trusting while you and I are doing this that we have, and I know you've recognized like there are Knoll Foundation and the Diversion Hub and great things that are happening in Oklahoma that really go upstream so that we don't have to have people enter into the system or even spend the night in jail. You know, my conservative side is the justice system as you knew it when you worked there and as what we've inherited, it's just no longer sustainable. We can't, as a nation, we now know that there's people that can be diverted and are thriving. And then we also, you can't hire into the system. And you probably were met with that's still that whole guard where Oklahoma inherited the nationwide, where you're just warehousing people. So it's like, why do you care?
Yeah.
We're just
Out of sight, out of mind.
out of sight, out of mind. And so allow the upstream to be happening and cheer them on. And inside, because if we just let people out, we're setting them up for failure. Because how would you ever transition? So earlier in the process, we have a plan. And, you know, we have more and more workforce coming to Oklahoma, more and more companies opening up. And now we can say, like, what is it you need? Because earlier in the process, we'll train them to what that company needs. And once they have a plan, their likelihood of success, you know, we're now number 2 in the country, 1 and 2, we go back and forth in recidivism because we're actually looking at the humanity of the person, right?
Yeah.
And we change lives. So changing the culture from within to find the Marilyn Davidsons that work within inside the department to be like, okay, we leadership will support you fully to make sure that person doesn't come back.
Yeah.
And that no one in their wildest dreams would even know that they had been in prison. It's like the greatest, you know, honor ever. When I see people formerly incarcerated. Did you know in Oklahoma, we have 2 former residents of our prisons are now serving on the Board of Corrections.
Yes.
It's like when we're really talking about we change lives and finding the Marilyn Davidsons that used to work in there and really recognize from a leadership standpoint, we mean it. We don't want people to come back. Because truth be told, we really just need to be locking up people who are a danger to others. I mean, upstream. Marilyn, I know that you personally are aware of county government.
Intimately.
And in December of 2020, we had 10 detainees in the Oklahoma County Detention Center that cost the county $460,000 in medical bills, not even including the other medical costs for the other 1,583 average. So the real cost is at that level. Those detainees were never even charged. We could have housed them in the Department of Corrections for 2 years and no one would have ever felt the loss. So when we start recognizing if I'm safe on the streets Monday through Friday, then why should I ever be locked up for even one night?
Yeah.
Like, why would we take someone away from family?
Recently, I'll back up a little bit. When I was at DOC and Christy was doing her ribbon cutting for the RISE program inside the prison, I invited a bunch of lawmakers to come. We had a very great group come. Congresswoman Stephanie Bice was one. She was a state senator at the time. And she met a girl when she was there, and they had kind of a side conversation. So afterwards, you know, Stephanie calls me and she's like, can you look up her story? I want to verify that she was giving me accurate information. I did. It ended up being a very unfortunate, sad story. It was a crime. Her boyfriend was transporting drugs across the state. He got 6 months in prison. She got 15 years. Recently, I was out in the community and ran into her. She has a job. She went through Christy's program. So now Congresswoman Bice, the next time she's in town, her and I are going to go visit this girl and see
this
her.
Lisa?
No, her name is Brooklyn. And so we're going to go to the RISE program. They're one that's out in the community in Bethany. We're going to go tour it, and we're going to invite Brooklyn to be there, and Stephanie's going to give her a big old hug. I'm so excited about it.
I mean, that's the story.
Yeah.
You have a congresswoman who as a senator, met someone in a program where we set up, I would imagine, the first in the nation cosmetology school, accredited,
Yes.
behind bars. And I was the lawyer for the Board of Cosmetology 20 years ago when they were like, we will never allow felons. And I was like, really? Because they're the ones that have actually addressed some of that unaddressed trauma. You know, I recognized early on, and you've mentioned it, most people in prison and those that are coming out had significant events happen in their life that we could have had a positive interruption into their lives much earlier. It does not mean that they should just go out now and be released into the streets without recognizing it. But we take care of that. Like any company, be more concerned about the people that were never caught.
Yes,
that work for you.
I say that
Not
too, but here's what the person next to you at Walmart that hasn't been through treatment. So yes. Yeah.
We're releasing those into a workforce and into an opportunity that truly have recognized and are at their best place to move forward for all that opportunity. But the RISE program, you know, since you were there for the ribbon cutting, we are now, Marilyn, in 3 prisons.
Yeah.
I mean, and have the continuing education outside. And no one in their wildest dreams. And actually, we probably learned, and I think Right on Crime, you all do a great job of this. When you're sitting down talking to someone, you just never realized that they had gone to prison. And I would add that I would also recognize if I'm a danger in the home, then that's probably the number one indicator, because our mass shooters, our cop killers, most of those things come, which, you know, we as conservatives really care about.
Yeah.
But they all had a history, or at least 75% plus, had a history of something in the home where they've caused injury. So we can start looking at, let's focus on these things so we're arresting fewer, but we arrest smarter.
Yes, exactly. Someone once asked us how we measure whether or not a policy is a good policy for us to support. And I always say, does it serve the public good, and does it make us safer as a public? And that's what I always ask myself. So really good to hear that. So how can we better support our police officers, our correctional officers, all those serving in that capacity, better support victims, while also implementing policies that make us safer, improve our crime rates?
Well, Marilyn, that is not a one-sentence answer. But I will state, in Oklahoma, not only are we changing lives in corrections, but simultaneously, we've also found the leadership that runs all of the different enforcement agencies. So we are a very law and order friendly state, but we don't just support them or pay them more. We're also created the First Responders Wellness Division. Yes. And so, you know, we're familiar at a lower level, local level with on-call, all these different things that help umbrella. And so when you start addressing unaddressed trauma, PTSD, substance, normal things, like I would say, I tell all of our law enforcement agents and police and first responders, you're superheroes to the community, but we as leaders also know you're superhuman. So when we address their lives, then they're better able to serve and protect the public, or they're better able to serve and recognize what you do with those that are residing in our prisons. Because that was another thing. And nationwide, that's still a huge problem.
Yeah.
I'll have the coast people from Boston, people from Seattle be like, man, we still defund police. Well, the only people that are going to stay are the very knuckleheads that cause the fear or the problem. So in Oklahoma, we really are supporting and that accountability. Those knuckleheads can't handle it. So whether it's in the Department of Corrections or you are a public-facing person, they have to leave because they don't like that.
Yeah, and they have so much more piled on them every year as far as responsibilities. And I hear quite often that they get very frustrated when they're asked to spend their time and resources on some of these lower level people that are committing felonies, but not necessarily a dangerous felony. And that they'd rather be spending time going after those truly dangerous crimes. And no one's more connected to the community than our law enforcement officers. I mean, you go into, especially these smaller communities, they can tell you, well, this person lives here and here's all their crimes, and this person lives here and her husband is an alcoholic and beats her. And so do you hear that from them a lot of like, can we get more resources? Can we focus on the real crimes? Like, do they feel frustrated when we...
So from a state level,
Yeah.
we're really setting the example of the more wraparound services we do for the men and women that serve, then the better the opportunities and the better we work with our partners.
Yeah.
So from more of a local level, that comes up. I'll use an example because Oklahoma's, that medical marijuana was a little, it was a little rough. And we are the #1 producer of marijuana and the cartels. And I really admire all of my teams that have come in working together. But here's an example. Historically, if we went out to take down an illegal grow, all of the trafficked labor, there's a lot of human trafficking. So instead of just arresting everyone, they're now bringing case managers to help get them help.
Yeah.
So again, we are really focusing at a state level of arresting fewer, but arresting smarter.
Yeah.
And recognizing more to get people to different services. So hopefully, as we keep pushing down and with our partners with Right on Crime, to really encourage more and more localities will understand how to be able to work together, and the community will trust the men and women more.
Yeah. So final question, we're going to wrap it up. Moving forward, what is one of your main goals that you want to accomplish before you leave and move on to a different position?
So being the state's chief cheerleader for law enforcement is great because I meet partners like Right on Crime. So you having this podcast and you having your footprint in Oklahoma, and then you start to share this message out, that's how we win. Because when our legislative leaders and our executive leaders and the governor, the more that the men and women that we've kind of given new direction to, they're going to feel more empowered to continue. So my hope is that, like our partnership, that we put so much into motion, they can't be undone.
Yeah.
That it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
Like when we started doing diversion programs for women, we don't lock up women like we used to.
Yeah.
We especially don't lock up mothers like we used to. So my intention is to make sure, whether it's wellness for all of our first responders, and whether it's how we change behavior so that we really only start locking up people who are a danger to others, and all else we find better solutions. So
Yeah. Well, I love it.
you are part of the solution,
Thank you.
Marilyn.
I try. Thank you. I know you're busy. So I'm really happy that you spent some time with us today. If you want more information on some of the programs and the policies that Right on Crime is working on, please visit rightoncrime.com.